Hi, here is the mat and back care routine for November to December 2022. You might find that the use of a band, we'll use these in class, is helpful when you're lifting your head up doing ab preps and hundreds, okay? So if you do have something that's quite supportive, then do use it for this session. So for our preps, we're going to lie down on our backs in our crook lying position. Use a small pad underneath your head if you generally need one. Our mobilisations will be from the top of our body and we'll work down. So bringing yourself to your crook lying position. Legs are parallel, pelvis is neutral, lumbar spine's neutral, collarbones are long and arms are down by the sides. Just bring focus to deep pelvic floor and transverse, taking a breath in to engage those two groups of muscles ever so gently, and combine that with your skull rock into chin tuck and skull rock out of chin tuck, making the skull rock in quite a small discrete movement, as well as the skull rock out being small and discrete. The chin tuck is part of the phase of any exercise where we would be lifting our head and shoulders off the floor. And the movement pattern of the chin tuck just brings a bit of length into the cervical spine, that's our neck, without us actually having to support the weight of our head with our neck. We'll make this the last one, and then progressing the movement so it's not just a one-dimensional movement, but we get a bit of multi-dimensional movement with nose circles. You rub the back of your head onto the mat, imagining you've got a beam of light shining from your nose, and you're drawing a circle of light on the ceiling. Everything that goes in one direction needs to go in the opposite direction. So if you reverse your circle now and take it in the opposite direction, gently stretching, limbering up the muscles in the neck, making this our last one, and bringing head to neutral position. Move down the body to the shoulder girdle, breathing in as you lift the shoulder girdle up towards the ears, and breathing out as you lower the shoulder girdle down. Keep the elbows long and the wrists long, isolating the movement into the muscles that are responsible for changing the position of the shoulder girdle. Notice particularly the muscles that are responsible for drawing the shoulder girdle down the back. I want you to feel like you're stretching down towards your heels as you draw down. Making this our last one. Hold the feeling of shoulder blades drawing down towards the heels. Float the arms up and turn the palms in. Breathing in to stretch up to the ceiling, separating the shoulder blades, and then breathing out to print them into the mat. Breathe in, stretch up, breathe out, print down. Breathe in, stretch up. So this movement pattern is protraction as you're stretching up, retraction as you're pulling down. And this time when we pull into retraction and our shoulder blades are touching the floor, we're going to hold it and change the position of our arms. So your palms are now facing towards your thighs. Pull down and reach up. Pull down and reach up. Aiming here to place your elbows onto the floor so that they run in a straight line. Elbow, shoulder, shoulder, elbow. This time keep the elbows down. Working on the external rotation of your shoulder joint. We're turning the arms and aiming to press the back of the hand and the wrists to the mat overhead. This is part of our dumbwaiter movement pattern. Next time, hold the arms flat, lengthen them up and pull them down. Be aware here of where you actually feel the stretch into the shoulders and into the arms. So we're going overhead and back into our W position. This time stay overhead and pull through. Right, combine those movements together. Stay in neutral with your core engaged. Pull down, rotate up, lengthen and pull through. Elbows in line with shoulders here, rotating into external rotation. You're trying to press the backs of the hands and the wrists to the mat without any flexion in your wrists, so you're trying to avoid doing this. We'll make this our last time through and pull all the way over, hands by hips, pelvic tilts next. Breathe in to engage core, breathe out, rock back. Breathe in, return to neutral. Breathe out, rock the pelvis back to flat back. Breathe in, rock to neutral. Rock into flat back, release to neutral. Rock to flat back, release to neutral. Do that twice more. Finishing this last one, we'll hold neutral to mobilise the hip joint. Staying with the same leg all the time, use a combination of knee drop into heel slide. Rotate the leg so that it is now parallel and slide back up. Knee drop, heel slide, rotate to parallel, slide up. This movement pattern is called hip release. A little bit more complex than either just the knee drop by itself or the heel slide by itself. The aim is still the same in that we are working to keep the pelvis in neutral as we move the leg. We'll make this the last one with this leg, and then we'll change over to the same movement pattern with the opposite leg. Knee drop, heel slide, rotate from lateral to parallel and slide up. Knee drop, heel slide, rotate parallel and up. 2 to go on this side. Finish this final one and then move into side lying for rotations. Try the open door variation this time with the arm line when you're doing your rotations. Pop a bigger pad underneath your head if needed. Feet and knees forwards, side lying in neutral, arm flexed to a right angle. Reach the arm up and look at the hand. Keep looking as you twist backwards. Hold it there. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Use the next out breath to close and return. Go again, engaging, reaching and looking. Keep looking as you twist. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. And breath out to close and return. With our sideline rotation, we're aiming to isolate thoracic rotation. Your knees are your fixed point. You're trying to stretch away from them. And by being very, very strict with the arm movement and the eye line, you can get a really, really nice isolation into your rotation. So we're aiming not to let this arm just go too floppy and drop out of line of the eye. You're always keeping it there on that initial position that you set it at. As we come out of this final repetition, we're working to keep the pelvis still while we open and close the knee, making sure that the pelvis itself doesn't move. Against gravity, the muscles of the hip are working here to raise and then lower the leg with control. The movement pattern is called clam when you're lying on your side. And we're doing external hip rotation. Last 2 repetitions. We're going to try a little bit of hip abduction next. So from this position, raise the leg and lower the leg as one unit. Imagine that your hip is the hinge of a door and you're opening and closing. Now this movement also works the buttock. So you're ensuring that you don't roll backwards. Your torso is staying really, really still, and you're doing an isolated movement of your leg. Making these the last two, and the last one. Moving on to our back with our big pad between our knees, reducing or removing the height of the head pad if you have been working with one. Segmentally from the bottom of the spine towards the top of the spine to roll up to bridge. Roll down from bridge. Aim to keep your weight even between both of your feet. Use the breath out as you're articulating up. The breath in as you're rolling down. Continue to work your shoulder bridge prep at a pace and a speed that works for you. Pushing each vertebra into the mat on the way up, and also trying to do that on the way down, although it does tend to be a little bit trickier to do that on the descent from bridge. The top of the bridge should feel like you're working across the front of the thighs and also into the buttocks when you get up to the top point. We'll make this our last one. And now we're repeating our side lying exercises. Excuse me while I turn my back. Side lying rotations, spine in neutral, elbows flexed to a right angle for the open door variation. Breathing in to engage the core, keeping the knees fixed. We reach the arm, we look at it. Breathe out as we twist. Keep the arm in sight. 3 breaths. Breathe in, hold. Breathe out, hold. Breath in, hold. Breath out to close and return. Keep that visualization of your knees as the point that you are twisting away from. Your thoracic spine, so the back of the rib cage, that part of the spine there, as the part of your spine that is doing all the moving. Be careful not to overstretch the arm like this and just let it flop down. We'll do one more repetition on this side, engaging the core, reaching the arm, turning the head to look at it. Keep look at it as you continue to roll backwards. Hold the end point for 3 breaths, breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, and breathe out, close and return. Let's try climb with a right angle, so keep the legs in the same position, cross the arms over the chest. Inside edges of the feet stay together as we open and close for 10. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. So that's external rotation of the hip. We're now going to do hip abduction, lifting the leg all as one unit. As if there's a hinge at the top of the thigh, lift and lower, and 4. Lower. Keep pelvis nice and still so you're not rolling backwards. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Last one for 10. Releasing the leg and moving to 4-point kneeling. In 4-point kneeling, we're going to practice our abdominal hollowing. So we're placing our hands under our shoulders, our knees underneath our hips. We have our spine in neutral, scooping into the core muscles to engage, and we hold for the count of 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, relax the abdominals. We'll go again. Zip and hollow, holding for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Releasing the core muscles last time. Visualize a plank of wood balanced along the back of the body. Engage the core muscles. Keep the plank of wood there. Hold 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and relax. Spine twist kneeling. Come up to a kneeling position, place the palms together, fix the pelvis. Turn the shoulders side, come back to centre, opposite side and centre. Side and centre, opposite side, centre. Visualise the rope from the crown of the head reaching towards the ceiling, and maintain the length of the spine as you work isolated thoracic rotation so your pelvis is fixed as you twist side to side. Come back to centre, change the arms, take them out. Twist side, centre, opposite side, centre. Side, centre, opposite side and centre. Side, centre, opposite side and centre. Last time, side, centre, opposite side, centre, releasing the arms down. Place the hands to the mat and then move the spine through flexion into extension with your cat stretch. Combine your movement into flexion with your breath out, your movement into extension with your breath in. Last time through. Moving to prone lying, if you're lying down on your tummy for the breaststroke preps. Please place a small pad or a folded hand towel underneath your forehead. Lay yourself down on your tummy with your legs parallel and your arms in a wide W position. Elbows should be lower than shoulders, hands should be about on line with the eyes. Start by relaxing your shoulders. Prepare for the exercise as you take a breath in to engage the core. Move on the breath out as you slide your shoulder blades down your back. And then the breath in as you peel your face and chest away from the mat, moving to a gentle cervical and thoracic extension. Breath out to release the chest and then the face down to the mat. Breath in, release the shoulders to the ears. Exhale, slide the shoulder blades down. Inhale, peel the face and chest off. Exhale, release the chest and face down. Inhale, release the shoulder girdle. Exhale, slide the shoulders down. Inhale, peel the face and chest off. Exhale, release the chest and face down. Inhale, release the shoulder girdle. One more time through. And then as we come out of the last one, we move to our stage 2 position. That places our arms down by our sides. Retract the shoulder girdle, rotate the shoulder joint, float into the lower back. Release the lower back, release the shoulder girdle, shoulder joint with the breath. We exhale, retract, rotate. Inhale, extend. Exhale, release the extension. Inhale, release the shoulder girdle. Exhale, retract and rotate. Inhale, float into lumbar extension. Exhale, release the lumbar spine. Inhale, release the shoulder girdle. Exhale, retract and rotate. Inhale, float to lower back. Exhale, release lower back. Inhale, release shoulder girdle. 2 more times through if you can. If you do find with any of the exercises that you've done sufficient and you've reached overload, take a break when needed. Now we're going to continue this one into stage 3 prep. And for the stage 3 prep, we're placing our forehead where the pad has been, lifting the weight of our arms, and it's an isolated lumbar extension movement. So our aim is to use our lower back muscles here to raise us up and lower us down with control. Please be very careful that you don't push your abdominal wall into the mat. and you don't allow your pelvic floor muscles to bulge down. Make this the last one. And then move to a W position pad back underneath the head. Diagonally on your body, arm on one side, leg on the opposite side. Nice gentle extension. I want you to clench your buttock, tighten your thigh in order for you to keep your leg straight. And lift up from your elbow rather than your hand. And that should get you into a nice horizontal abduction of the shoulder joint. Now this feeds diagonally through the spine, as we're using the lats on one side, the glutes on the opposite side. And they both feed into the fascia of the lower back. So even though your back isn't moving when you do this exercise, you are strengthening the lower back area. The exercise is called swimming preps, and we're using a W arm line. We'll make this our last one before releasing into shell. Place your big toes together, have a gap between your knees and sit yourself back. If your bottom does not touch your heels and your head does not touch the floor, you can use pads to support your position. So you could put a pad between your head and the mat. You could put a pad between your heels and your bottom. So do use some support if you need to. I'm going to layer in some maximal contractions of pelvic floor when we're in this position, using the exercise that I call weightlifter. As we hold shell, contract your pelvic floor muscles maximally. This will feel like you're trying to pull away from the gusset of your pants, and aim to hold them there for the count of 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then let the pelvic floor muscles go. We're going to do that again. Contract the pelvic floor muscles as tightly as you can and try to keep them as tight as you can for the count of 5. Keep it there. 4. Keep it there. 3. Keep it there. 2. Keep it there. 1. Let the pelvic floor go. One final time. Contract the pelvic floor muscles maximally and keep them there. 5. Keep them there. 4. Keep them there. 3. Keep them there. 2. Keep them there. 1. And let the pelvic floor muscles release. Move from shell to 4-point kneeling for the knee pull. With your spine in neutral, this progresses from the abdominal hollowing exercise. Feet can be flat or toes can be tucked. Do what feels most comfortable for you. Engage your core muscles and float the knees just off. Hold 10. 9. Now when you do the knee pull, your shoulder girdle, pelvic girdle and spine should all stay in exactly the same shape. Rest down. When you do your abdominal hollowing, pull away from the waistband of your trousers without changing the degree of curve in your lower back, so you're keeping it neutral. Float off, hold 10. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Rest down. Can also be done on elbows if wrists don't particularly like this position. Engage, like so. Float 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and releasing down. Moving to seated and holding onto the backs of the thighs. Gentle spine flexion. Imagining your spine as the shape of a letter I. Perform a seated pelvic tilt with support holding the backs of the thighs to bring the spine into the shape of an imaginary letter J. So it's I for igloo, J for jelly. I for igloo and J for jelly. Breathing out as you go into your J position, breathe in and out. The breath out is going to help you scoop and activate your rectus abdominals, and that is exactly what this exercise is supposed to do. Your rectus abdominals are responsible for flexing your spine, and that is their function. So they're pulling in towards you, relaxing as you sit up, because then your back muscles are going to be a little bit more active. Pulling in towards you, lengthening as you sit up. We'll make these our last two. And then final one. Okay, now's the point in the class where we're going to do some loading of our shoulder with our side bend prep. So for side bend prep, if you turn yourself onto your side, and your position is going to be a V position, so your pelvis is the bottom point of the V. Your fingers are one point of the V, and your feet are the opposite point of the V. That means that your feet should be slightly forwards of your pelvis, your hands should be slightly forwards of your pelvis. Top knee turns to the ceiling, and you place your wrist on your knee. Now we're going to load this shoulder through range, but we're also going to take this arm up to its end range. So your side bend is a combination of taking this arm up into its end range and stretching yourself over into a rainbow shape before releasing down. A lot of the time, this arm gets left behind and we see things like this happen, okay? So if it helps, stick your arm up in the air first and then push away from the mat, stretch over, release down, release the arm. Push the arm up first, stretch over. Push the pelvis down, release the arm. Put the arm up first. Push into the mat, stretch over. Now it does take a lot of strength to actually push yourself away from the mat with this arm. Stretch up, push over. Last time, stretch up. Fabulous. Okay, you will need something to support your head for the next exercise. The aim here is to load your spine in neutral in side lying. So to help you keep your neck neutral, that's when you're going to pop your head on the back pad. To make sure you've got into the correct position for this, once you're laying down on your side and you've got your legs straight, if you look down your body, you shouldn't be able to see your feet. If you can see your feet when you look down your body, you're at an angle and you won't be working the outer and inner thigh muscles that we want to work as we're lifting our legs up, okay? You'll end up kind of doing a really, really high leg lift and working the fronts of your thighs, and that's not the aim, okay? Now, depending upon how much stored energy you've got, you may or may not touch the mat at your waist, but your spine should lie in a nice straight horizontal line. With our arms crossed over, legs glued together, feet glued together, your legs and feet may touch in different positions than mine do. So wherever your legs and feet touch, zip into your core, keep them touching in the same places, lift them off, release them down. Lift them off, release them down. Now this is going to make the muscles in your core react when you lift the weight of your legs off. You shouldn't be pushing your tummy muscles out with the effort. You don't want this going on, okay? It's always about keeping those pelvic floor muscles pulled up and those transverse abdominal muscles pulled in to act as a nice support system for our center. Last two, and then final repetition. Okay, bend the knees, stretch the front of the thigh. Release the thigh. Working on our backs next. This is the point in the class where we're going to use our band and we're going to lay it out long ways. Roughly in the centre of the mat, so it runs right down the middle of the mat. If you do use a pad underneath your head, put the pad on the mat and put the band over the top of the pad so that it runs like that, okay? And you're going to lay yourself down. Positioning the band so it's centrally down the spine. Leave quite a long tail to support your head, and that means that you don't need to have your arms in a position that's up here, so it's not going to be too stressful for the shoulder joint. With your pelvis and spine in neutral, the rest of your body set up in your crook lying position, we'll do our chin tuck for our ab prep, and then using the arms to support us, we're raising our head and shoulders off the floor. Pelvis and spine should still be neutral when we lift up. I'm going to breathe in, hold, and breath out, release down. So it's breath in to tuck the chin, breath out to raise, breath in to hold, breath out to lower. Remembering your technique's really important, and it's this zip and hollow into your core that I want you to work on. So you're always pulling up with pelvic floor, you're always pulling down with your transverse abdominals. At no point do I want you to bear down with your pelvic floor or bulge up with your tummy muscles. Engage, rock, exhale, raise. Inhale, hold, and exhale, lower. Engage and rock. Exhale, raise. Inhale, hold. Exhale, lower. Engage and rock. Exhale, raise. Inhale, hold. And exhale, lower. Okay, release that band for a moment. Bring the arms down into your low V position. Scoop your core. Fold your legs into and out of tabletop, keeping your pelvis and your spine completely still. When we do the knee fold exercise, your movement should come from your hip joint, so your knee should stay fixed. There are 3 different levels of intensity. Please work at the level where you can keep your pelvic floor up, you can keep your transverse abdominals flat, so you're not bearing down, you're not bulging up at any time. For some of us, that will mean increasing the load level into our double knee fold. A really nice visualization with double knee fold is to stay light on the feet and heavy on the pelvis, so that when you're placing your feet down onto the floor, there's very, very little weight into the feet. If you find that you put your feet down and your feet are heavy, that is when you'll tend to have to work really hard, and you'll get this movement of going into posterior pelvic tilt and using a bit of lumbar flexion to actually get you into and out of your tabletop position. So that shouldn't happen. It should always be the same part of the pelvis touching the mat when you're moving into and out of your tabletop position. The same degree of curve in your lower back. If you want a bit of feedback, it can be quite nice just to pop your hands underneath your lumbar curve. Remember to watch for your body cheating, because it'll start to do this. It's very subtle, but you're basically unfolding your knee and then bending your knee more, and you'll end up in the point where your heels are really close to your bottom. You won't be doing very much work, so as far as I'm concerned, that's pointless. Get your feet away. Make your abdominals work hard. Now the hardest level, and this is very, very difficult to do, I can maybe do one to show you, is to move both legs simultaneously. The gap that you have between your ribcage and your pelvis should not change when you do this. Okay, if this gap changes and it closes down, then you're using lumbar flexion and pelvic tilt to get your legs into the air, rather than using the strength of your core muscles to stabilize your pelvis and your spine in neutral against the weight of your legs as they move into the air. So it looks very, very, very similar, but works completely differently. It is very hard if you do this correctly, unless you're like maybe some sort of strong man or strong person, which most of us aren't, are we? We're going to hold tabletop when we get there this time. If you're doing singles, keep your right leg up. If you're doing doubles, you're going to keep both legs up. We're doing 100, but without the beaty arms that we'd normally do. Because what I would like you to do is I would like you to grasp your band, rock your head into chin tuck, and raise to the top of your ab prep. So you're up at the top of the ab prep, either in double knee fold with me, or perhaps you're in a single knee fold here. Okay, if you're in single, we'll stay for 50 counts, and then we'll change for your next 50 counts to here. So we're breathing in, 2, 3, 4, 5, out, 2, 3, 4, 10, in, 2, 3, 4, 5, out, 2, 3, 4, 20, in, 2, 3, 4, 5, out, 2, 3, 4, 30, in, 2, 3, 4, 5, out, 2, 3, 4, 40, in, 2, 3, 4, 5, out, 2, 3. Change legs if you're singles. Out, 2, 3, 4, 60. In, 2, 3, 4, 5, out, 2, 3, 4, 70. In, 2, 3, 4, 5, out, 2, 3, 4, 80. In, 2, 3, 4, 5, out, 2, 3, 4, 90. In, 2, 4, 5, out, 2, 3, 400. Release the head and shoulders down. Release the band, bring the arms to the side, release the legs. Lengthen to full body stretch, taking the legs down the mat and the arms over the head. 3 nice big deep breath cycles here in and out. And then we will release it. We need to balance up our side-facing exercises. Grab your big pad. I'm going to turn my back to you, so please apologise, but it will give you a nice view of what goes on when we work the opposite side. We're starting with side lying double leg lift. So we're lying on our side, directly on our side, head supported by the pad, which will keep our neck in neutral. Legs glued together. We're noticing where our legs are glued together, and we may or may not have a gap here. If you do, when you lift your legs off, your gap should stay the same. So we're raising and lowering, raising and lowering, just to gently load into those core muscles. Going for 6 more. Raise and lower. 5 and lower. 4, lower. 3, 2, and final 1. Releasing to move into thigh stretching, side lying, heel to bottom and knee back. Releasing the thigh and pushing up into that shallow V position for the side bend. Again, check you can get your shoulder extension. Load your shoulder as you stretch over. Release down, release the shoulder extension. So get the shoulder extension, stretch over, release it and down. This arm should always be visible in peripheral vision. So you're basically gluing your arm to the side of your head, pushing the mat away from you and making a rainbow shape. Next one will be our last one. And then we are going to move from there into our 4-point position. Now this time in our 4-point position, you're doing your best impression of a table. We're going to make the table, we're going to make it hard to be a table. It's going to be a table with 4 legs. Engage the core. Take your weight to your left hand and your right knee. And then try and be a table with 2 legs. Doesn't matter if it's slightly wobbly, stick with it. 3, 2, 1, come back to a 4-legged table. Shift your weight, so you've gone to the opposite one, and then try and be a table with 2 legs. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, release it down. So it's important here that you don't lift your arm too high up or you're going to twist your shoulder. You don't lift your leg too high up or you're going to twist your pelvis and your spine. Trying to keep your table as flat as you can, but do that again on each side. So find neutral, zip and hollow. Take your weight into one hand, opposite knee. And then the unloaded side, they can either just come off, they can go out. As long as they don't come too high up like this, we're holding for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, coming back, switching, opposite one, reach and hold. 5, 4, 3, 2 and 1, come back to kneeling high. Step 1 foot forwards and tuck your towel between your legs to get the stretch into the hip flexor, running down the front of the kneeling leg. Combine that with a tricep stretch by taking your hand in between your shoulder blades. And then release that arm, release the pelvis, switch over legs. So the pelvic tilt will drive the stretch into the hips, switch over arms. You've got one hand in between your shoulder blades, the other hand is guiding the elbow closer to your head. Try to keep the chest lifted. And then release the hip, release the arm. Tuck your toe under and use lunge as a functional movement to stand yourself up. And then get to your parallel position, cross your arms over. Just bend. Hips, knees and ankles. I'm going to turn to the side. So you're in a squat position. Drive to standing. Weight's going to go into your heels. Bend. Now I only would like you to bend as far as you need to go to hover above an imaginary toilet. We'll make this our last time. And then we'll release the arms. Stretch the chest by linking the fingers, taking the arms behind you, and move into a calf stretch position by pushing one heel down into the ground. Both feet should be facing the same direction. We'll release that, we'll change the legs. We'll find the calf stretch on the opposite side and combine this one with an upper back stretch. To do this, hold on to your elbows, drop your chin to your chest and separate your shoulder blades. And then releasing the arms, step together. Take a nice deep breath in. Gaze up to the hands. Bring the arms down and we're finished. I hope you've enjoyed that and you got a lot from it. Well done. See you in class soon.